going out of his ears over there. They have in doggies there. They have ongoing siyumim the whole day. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true. But, anyways, okay.
I haven't been to summer camp for 17 years. I totally forgot people make siyum in the 9 days. It's like, you know what? Forget about it.
You have no, Ben. You have no idea what goes on over here.
I can't.
Well, you just go to Doma. You'll find out exactly what goes on there.
Somebody said this morning that Bingo has a siyum package. Anybody hear that? They say you provide the siyum, we'll provide the food. Something like that. Yeah, whatever. Anyways. Okay, we left off. What's today's stop? Mem Gimel, yeah? Yeah, we're on the bottom, the last three words on Mem Beis on the base. Me'idin says. So let's just review. So Shmuel, we're just talking about. Shmuel said 3 halachas by partners. Right? He said partners could make a chazaka on each other, and they could testify on each other's behalf, and they could be a shomer sacha for each other. Meaning they're considered like paid watchmen. Meaning if one shutuf says to the other one, "I need you to watch me," so it's considered like he's paid, right? So now the Gemara is going to go for the next couple of blots, or at least blot and a half. The Gemara is going to go through these three things. Umeidin says zelazeh, so they can say testimony on each other. Now, right off the bat, it should give us a pause. How can partners testify for each other? Isn't that negius? Right? Right? Meaning, how can one partner go testify for another partner on Tomad Aleph? So what else? I no, you can be two son hey. Right? One partner is going to go testify on behalf of the other partner. Of course, he's going to testify whatever the partner wants to hear. Right? Because if he's going to take a loss, I'm going to take a loss. We're partners. Right? So the Gemara says, what are we talking about here? The cost of late din dvarim mainly al sadazu. He told the guy, din and dvarim, I got nothing. Meaning I'm absolving the partnership. I'm just giving it to you and finished. Right? Yes, the Gemara asks. I mean, again, din dvarim mainly al sadazu. I mean, I'm not handling with you anymore. I am done.
Means. Is that part of the shutfus, or the other shutuf has other properties that aren't part of the shutfus? You have partners in a real estate firm, but their personal homes are not part of the shutfus.
Rashbam says he was maknit to him, and that's how he takes himself out of the equation.
Well, the Gemara's gonna have the Gemara's gonna have an issue with it because there's no kinyan.
I understand, but at this point, the Gemara thinks that, according to the Rashbam, the Gemara thinks that he was maknit to him, and therefore he divested himself from it. So it has nothing to do with the fact that he's not saying I don't never own this. He's saying I don't own it now, and therefore I can testify.
But why can't we just simply say that it's a property that he never owned with him?
Because mashma they were shutfin in it. Otherwise, there's no chiddush.
The chiddush is that they are shutfin; they're very close with each other. Why can't a relative, your uncle can't give edus on you because he sees his perspective is different. So the shutf is also a different perspective.
But I know that a relative can't give. We know that, don't we know that already?
Yeah, we also know that a negei b'davar can't give edus.
But do I know that a shutf is a negei b'davar?
That's the Gemara's shaila. He is. Even the answer
it's only because he actually owns in it. It's only because he actually owns it himself. He's negei b'davar l'gavi himself, not because he's a partner. Partner's not enough.
Right. So the answer is that he's not negei b'davar because he doesn't own this property. Why are we saying a case where he divested himself of the property?
Because
It's
the
a
Gemara's
property he
question
never
only
owned.
was based on the fact that he owned it. That's how good for the Gemara's question. Only
But
based on that
yes,
fact.
but the answer is that he doesn't own it. So
Well, it's not.
what difference?
All right, well, let's see the Gemara the next few back into the Shakavatah years. Anyways, so we say he's not negay be'edus because he absolved himself from the partnership. He just said, I don't have any din in dvar with you. Says the Gemara says, and let's say he did write this. Who cares? But Tane, we said in a brayso, mainly also this. The guy says, din in dvarim, I'm not gonna have on this field. But ainly asik but or here the vit doesn't mean and, it means or. Ainly asik ba, or I don't have any asik in it. Yadi again, or yadi b'soleka semena, or my hand is not involved in this field. Like Omar Klumi said nothing, meaning the partnership still stands. So you see, even if he gave up the partnership in any one of these terminologies, is not considered given up. So therefore, he's still a full-fledged partner, and therefore he's partial. What it says, they did a kinyan, meaning they did our good old kinyan chalipin, right? I said they did a good old kinyan chalipin, which is he didn't the way he absolved the partnership. I mean, I guess he could do a regular kinyan too, but then there would be a chiddush. So saying that one partner gives the other partner his handkerchief or his yarmulke, and the other one picks it up, and then it's his, yeah.
So technically, does he still own it? What's Rosh Hashanah? He's kind of the words that didn't dvar mainly, or he's kind of the field.
Again, what are you saying?
What's the kanamiyada? He's kind of what? This star, these words that didn't dvar mainly.
He's kind of the, I don't know. He's kind of the partnership, the property, whatever it is.
He did a kinyan on the. I don't. The Shekanu Miyadeh sounds like it's the star. This that he wrote Dina Dvarim Ainli. But we're trying to give a case where technically this guy still owns the field. He still has a partnership in the field. He's just Asr Ba'ana to it or something like that. Is that what we're doing? He technically still owns it?
I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. I thought he doesn't own it. He's giving it up. Right? Yeah. Okay, I don't know. I thought it's Pasha. He's giving up the whole partnership. Now you may throw in a little monkey wrench into that, but I don't know. Okay. Anyways, somebody they did a kinyan chalipin, so it's legitimate. So Gemara says, "My havi." So what if he did it? Right? What he's doing, and now here it gets a little technical. What he's doing is he's being maimed this property in front of his Baal Chayv. Right? Meaning, normally, like we said yesterday, somebody takes a loan and then he sells a property, and then sells a property, and now he defaults, so that the property gets taken away from him. So let's say this partner did that. So even though he gave away his field, but they're going to come after him for this field. Right? So the Gemara is saying, they're going to give it up to his Baal Chayv. Right? The Amar Rabban Bar Shmuel Mishmei the Shmuel. Right? He's saying B'Shem his father. If a guy sells a field to his friend and he writes in the shtar, normally a sale has achrayis built in. Right? Like we said yesterday, it depends what type of achrayis, but it has an achrayis built in. But here, they wrote in the shtar that he's doing it without any guarantees, meaning the guy's going into this blindly, and if the field gets taken away, it gets taken away. Ain mayed loyaleh, then he can. If he did that, he cannot say edus, right? Because if somebody comes and says that the field was never his, that the guy sold it. So of course he has Negias, because if the field gets taken away, he's going to come out looking like a really bad guy that he sold somebody a bag of garbage, right? So because he makes it that he's mimed it in front of his balchayv, in front of the guy who lent him money, right? Meaning the guy who sold the property is nageya b'dava, right? He's partial because he doesn't want to come out looking bad if that field should so get taken away from him, and that would happen here too. So my answer is, am I asking to kibbul achrayis? No, we're talking about where he was talking makabel achrayis, right? So if he was makabel achrayis, then he's not going to get any hana, right? Because meaning the guy the partner that he sold the field to, he's going to have to pay him back anyways. Meaning once he was makabel achrayis on it, so it doesn't make a difference who the people come after for the field. He himself is responsible regardless of whether this field taka belongs to the guy who bought it or not. So when it says achrayis deman, what kind of achrayis did he take? He named achrayis to alma. If he just said, I'm taking achrayis in case anybody comes and says this field belongs to them. So of course he wants it that his shulta should get it, right? Because then he has to back up his promise. So when it says el achrayis to asile machmasei, he's saying that it's a achrayis that comes because of his chayvus, because of his debts, right? Meaning he's not taking the achrayis on anything that goes on in the field. He's taking the achrayis on debts, on anything that would get taken away because of his debts. So he's not negayah b'dover, because either way he's going to have to make good. Fine. So the Gemara says, and let's say Taka, he's mistalik. He removes himself from this field. Does he really remove himself? Atandi, we learned the price of b'nei ear. Shouldn't Sefer Torah shalahen. Let's say you had a city that the Sefer Torah was stolen. Ain't done it, but so they're going to try and figure out who stole it and what they're going to do with it. The dayanim from that city are now allowed to judge it. They may be in and you can't even use anybody from the city to bring proofs, right? Because they all negayah b'dov, right? The judges can't judge it. I mean, you can't judge the Sefer Torah because it belongs to the city, and the judges, the dayanim, and the lawyers and whoever else are all going to be negayah b'dov. Then Isa, and if this is true, the salku beit treminayu, right? What we're saying is true, that you can just remove, meaning the shutim also had negiyas, right? But we're saying one of them can absolve himself by handing it over to the other one. So why don't we say the same thing here? Let two people from the city say, you no longer we're seceding. How do you call it? They're backing out of the city, right? What does Staten Island always say they're going to do from New York City? Secede? Is that the word? Secede, yeah. It's seceding. So why don't we have two guys secede from the city? Then they can be the dayanim, the dainu, right? Meaning, if the Gemara is correct, that somebody could just, it sounds like a scam. Didn't we have this? Didn't we have by Rubashkin's judges or something like this? The judge backed out, but the judge then became the prosecutor. I don't know, it's something like that.
She was supposed to recuse herself because she went from the prosecutor to the judge. Yeah.
That what it was, something ridiculous like
but
that.
But she did not recuse herself.
But she didn't.
Yeah.
I hear. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the kasha. So why don't they do that? Elamai, you can't do such a thing. That means our Gemara is against Shver. So say Shani Sefer Torah de Lashmiya Koi. Right? You can learn a lot from these words. Sefer Torah is meant to be heard. Meaning everybody in the city has a chiyuv to hear Kriyas HaTorah. Right? So the only way you're going to get, you can back out of the city all you want and say, okay, I have nothing to do with the Sefer Torah here. But don't make a difference. You have a chiyuv to hear Kriyas HaTorah. So if you have a chiyuv to hear Kriyas HaTorah, so then you have Negiyas. Unless you leave the city and go to a different city to hear Kriyas HaTorah. Now, is Kriyas HaTorah chiyuv on the tzibur or on the yachid?
I thought it was on the tzibur. No, not on the yachid.
Right. So
This makes it seem like it's a yachid.
Right. This one from this Gemara sounds
Here
like
it's mashma not, right? So it's like a yachid.
The briskers are machmer. The briskers are machmer that it's a chiyuv on the yachid. I'll tell you what. So we had it in camp.
I don't feel so guilty. I try not to feel so guilty. I missed davening Monday, Thursday morning. You know, it's a tzibur.
Yeah, but no, you should really try and hear Kriyas Torah. We actually had an interesting. We couldn't get into the safe. 6:30 a.m. minyan in camp, which means that there's not a lot of people around. So we had like a mamash minyan at tzumtzum. We're trying to get into the safe. Couldn't get into the safe. Okay, so, but the guys, it was the minyan for the kitchen help. So they couldn't, they had to leave. So we said, okay, we'll say Asher Valtzin on Aleinu. And by then, hopefully the guy will come and open the Sefer Torah. And then, of course, that's exactly what happened. But these guys were in such a rush. So they all started leaving. So one of their supposed rabbis piped up and said, oh, it's a chiyuv on the tzibur. And since we finished davening, there's no longer any tzibur, so they could leave. So that was it. So we didn't have Kriyas HaTorah.
They said the rabbi said this in front of you? Who's the real rabbi?
Yeah, well, it wasn't. They work for all the camps. They weren't specific to this camp. No,
okay.
No, so I don't know if this guy was a rabbi. I don't know who he was. He just piped up. He wears tchelis, if that means anything. So, but anyway, so he said it, and that's all they needed to hear, man. They beat up man dash out that door when they heard this guy say that. So I was like, the truth is, maybe he's right. I don't know. I mean, was a minyan sitting there. The Sefer Torah is coming in a minute, but we're no longer davening, so therefore we don't have a chiyuv anymore. I don't know. This Gemara for sure would say that you need to, right? Anyway, so the Gemara is saying again, it doesn't make a difference if you recuse yourself from the city, you still have a chiyuv to hear Kriyas HaTorah. Okay. Next case, Toshima. Ha'omer tnu mana lebnei iri. So that's like a guy that says, I want to give a donation of 100 to the Bnei Iri. And he wants to give it to the community chest or whatever, to the Gabbai Tzedakah. So then I got to figure out who gets this.
Everything we're doing now is trying to find out just why, if Shutfin is Nogea B'Dover or not.
Yes. No. Now the Gemara is on to, can somebody give up his chelik in something so that he won't be Nogea B'Dover?
So we're trying to find them a way to skirt the system.
Yes, it's exact. I couldn't say it better myself. This is exactly right. It's basically you have two partners, and one going to testify on behalf of the other partner. So it sounds like a Trump type thing to do, right? So what does he do? He backs himself out of the partnership, and then that's it. I mean, you could see people doing this.
Is this what we're saying? The original cases. Once the Gemara said Hakamayaskin to the Shutfin case, that he backed out in order to give Eidos, or he backed out 3 years ago, and now he wants to give Eidos on this.
What?
I'm just trying to think. This sounds like a B'diavad kind of thing. In these cases, he's trying to back out in order to give the Eidos. Make a case for the Shutfin case. Yeah, but the Shutfin case wasn't like that.
Yes, it was.
Meichatesi. We didn't say that. We're trying to figure out a case in which he can give Eidos. The answer to the Gemara before could have been that he backed out 4 years ago. Now something comes up and there's some Eidos to give. But he didn't back out of the field in order to give the Eidos.
Right.
So why are we bringing a kasha from a case where he backed out in order to give the Eidos? Maybe
you want to say it's a little like different.
It's the machlokes Taz and Shachim, but they haven't lechatchila.
Right. I don't know. I hear you, Aaron. Okay, so let's see the next case. So again, this guy decided to donate money to the city. Right? So I'm for new money levnei iri. Ain't done in b'dayonei osir. You can't use the same dayanim from the city. Ve'ain maybe in raya me'anshi osir. You can't bring proof from anybody. Meaning you can't use lawyers, right? because they're all negay b'davar. Samai l'salku beitrei nafshayu v'lidainu. Remove two people, let them back out of the city, and then they could be dayanim. Right? So Gemara says,
is that like the Kohen? Is that like the Kohen walking out, so he doesn't, so you don't have to give a Kohen an aliyah?
I hear that.
Right? He's there for Shacharis, and then you want to give an extra aliyah to somebody, so you say, go outside.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So again, the Gemara again gives the same type of Tochanami b'Sefer Torah. We're talking about what is Sefer Torah. But you know what's fascinating? If you've asked me, which you shouldn't ask, but if you asked me in my puny little brain, I would say, how can you say that this is no negias here? You just pulled a scam ship of scams. But the Gemara doesn't say, nah, you can't possibly not have negias just because you pulled out of the city. The Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara says, no, so that would be fine. If not for this din of Sefer Torah, how can you possibly be impartial? Right? Yes, 5 minutes ago, you had a whole opinion who stole the Sefer Torah, where it came from, and or where the money should go into tzedakah. Now you backed out, and you were saying, oh, yeah, sure, you can join. I don't know. But the Gemara seems
to say that. What I was asking.
Yeah, but
same thing.
You're asking about comparing the two different cases. I'm saying the whole concept is.
Well, that's why it doesn't work.
But it's saying it is. But here it's mashma. It does work.
It's not for Sefer Torah. Yeah.
Not for Sefer Torah. It sounds like somebody could possibly. You know what kind of mental? What do you call it?
Gymnastics.
Not gymnastics. You have the mental power. The
acuity.
What?
Acuity.
I don't know. Acuity meaning the control over your brain that you have to do this. All right, maybe they did back then. We're the ADHD generation, so fine. Okay, bye. So Tashama,
and the Gemara is not talking about where they're moving out to a different city, right? Just for this Tekufa, they're leaving.
Correct. Well, I don't know. Does it have to be permanent? That's a good question. Does it have to be permanent? Like after
if it's permanent, then it makes sense why they're not out.
They can't say they're moving out for a week.
Doesn't say that they have to move out. It doesn't say they have to move out permanently.
Right. It doesn't sound like that. It sounds like I don't really know what they're doing.
It sounds like
they're going on a vacation. They're going on a vacation for a week.
Doesn't even sound like they have to leave. Doesn't even sound like they have to leave. They just have to back out. I mean, do they get back their taxes?
But Tiago, did you see there's a small Taisa? I don't know if he burns your issue, but he does say, he burns the idea that it's also b'pasulus. Like you're asking, how do they go from being negei b'davar and now all of a sudden because they backed out, now they could be made, and now they're clean.
Yeah,
that was your question, correct?
Right.
That's what Taisa's question is.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure Taisus is saying that. I wasn't sure what Taisus is getting at.
Well, he says he bavarns the issue if they started out being the gay b'davar, now they're not.
Actually sounds more like Gershon's kasha. Second Taisus up from the bottom.
I'm just saying Taisus is mashma that there's this idea that to say that they're negay b'davar before and that possible to forever is only true is not true when it comes to Mammon.
Right.
Why I don't know, but that's what Taisus says.
Rabbi Chanan brings from other that from the Shita that you don't say Tchasa b'psol by Negeya b'davar.
You don't say
meaning the whole psol is only because he's Negeya b'davar. Once he's not Negeya b'davar, you're not going to passel him forever because he's not Negeya anymore. It's not like a Karav where
that's one of the Taichas in Taisus.
Right, I'm sure that would be a Taisus.
Yeah.
Well, they say that's what Taisus means.
Yeah, maybe could be. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure.
We've spoken about it in the past. We've had various different Gemaras where we said the Chiddush that the Dayanim of the town need to know what's going on in the town, need to have a compassion for everyone in the town. We've had a number of Gemaras like that. So Stamazay, a regular Dayan of a town, has some sort of Nagias. That's not called a Nagias B'davar. So this could be part of the same thing. Once he pulls himself out of the Sefer Torah, then he has the regular Nagias that he does over any other job he has in town. Any two people from town come to a Din Torah, to the Dayan of their town. He has Nagias to both of them. We can still down the case.
Right.
Here's the same thing. Once you pull out.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So let's see. It's a Toshima. However, Tnu Mana Laniya Iri. Again, it's just a repeat. Right? He says, give mana to the Manim Masida. Ain't done but Dayana Osir, and Mavian Ryan Machi Osir. You can't use Dayana, you can't use the judges, can't use lawyers, nothing. But Tizra Aniyim Shaklu Dayani Mifsili, right? Meaning the Aniyim are taking the money. And the Dayanim should become puzzle. Why should Dayanim be puzzled? They're not taking the money. The Gemara says, "Elaima ain't done it, but Dayane aniya yosir." You can't use the poor Dayanim, but you can use the rich Dayanim. You can't bring rayas. You can't use the lawyers, the poor lawyers, right? But you can use the wealthy ones. They don't have negiyas. Fine. Then the Gemara asks, "V'mai?"
That seemingly would be a much worse problem than negiyas. That's shoichad. The money the guy's giving, for the poor ones. That's not just negiyas.
No, but they're not taking money. It's just a matter of
they're going to get some of it.
Well, that's sort of Gemara is going to ask. Again, why don't we just remove the beit tray and judge them? Meaning, let two of them back out and let them be judged. We say, we're talking about that the guy gave the money for a sefer Torah. So Gemara asks, so then why are they called Aniyim? He wasn't giving a Sefer Torah for Aniyim. He was giving a Sefer Torah for everybody. So why'd you say he's giving the Mana for Aniyim? Ta'kol Eitzel Sefer Torah Aniyim Heim. Everybody's an Ani by the Sefer Torah. Why? Because everybody needs a Sefer Torah. So that's one way of saying it. We're talking about where the money was going to Aniyim Mamish. We're talking about Aniyim that it's on them, meaning the city took responsibility for the Aniyim. So Mamela, everybody's going to benefit from it. Meaning it's talking about a town where everybody's a mental thing and they bear the weight of all the Aniyim in the town. So if that's the case, so everybody stands to benefit from this. Okay, so what it says, what's the case? If you're talking about where there's a specific amount, so then let the two people give whatever amount of money that they have to, meaning if every person has to pay a certain tax, right? So then let these two people give the tax and now they're no longer Negeya. Let them judge it. Meaning, let's say the town says, this year we need $10,000 to give out to Aniyim. Each person has to give $10. Right. So now this guy donated 100 manas, and now that's going to subtract from everybody in the town's tzedakah, meaning so everybody's in on the game. So why don't you just take two guys, give their specific money, then they're out of the game.
What would be the worst thing if you had more money than you needed?
I don't know.
Meaning everybody has to give their share, and if somebody wants to give extra, so we have more money, and the Aniyim have a little more money this year.
Right. That's when I don't know. I'm not sure. Seems like they were very specific. Right?
No, his case would be the same case as this. They've already been yotze to their chiyuvs. They should be allowed to down.
Yeah. I don't. What's that? What are you saying?
It's not Ramu Alayu anymore. They've already been yotze to their chiyuvs. So the guy that came.
But he's saying for next year. David's saying he's saying for next year.
But right now, it's not Ramu Alayu.
You're saying it's only, but it's going to be Ramu Alayu for the future. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Thanks. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, so let's see. So again, if it's a set amount of has to give, the kitzlu, and then let them give their amount, and then it's not negaya to them. We're talking about a city where it's not a set amount, so there's no amount that you can ask these people to give, and then they can secede. Talking about where everybody has to give a set amount. And they're still happy Meaning even if the Dayanim back out, that's still the Kima the Rav Ravach. This is, I don't know if this is what David meant, right? That if there's going to be extras, there's going to be extra. Meaning, so the next year, I guess, yeah, maybe that's talking what you said, though. I thought it was just like there's going to be an extra for this year, but maybe it means for next year, right? But everybody's happy that there's going to be an extra, right? So they're going to have Negias anyways, right? Okay, right. But Nasa. So then the second thing we said that partners are is Nasa and Shomer Sachar Zelazeh. They could be Shomer Sachar and they're paid watchmen because each one could watch each other's land, and it's as if they got paid, which means that they have a higher level of responsibility. Remember from the end of Bava Mitzvah, right? Shomer Sachar has a higher level. He's chayiv. How does it go? He's potter for einzim, right? But everything else is chayiv. Fine. So the Gemara says V'nasa and Shomer Sachar Zelazeh. So let them make. Why don't? But they should be Shomer. I'm sorry, V'nasa Shomer Zelazeh. That's what Shmuel said on Talmud base. Amai, the Gemara asks Shmira b'Bailami. Remember we had Bailavimo that if you borrow something from somebody and you work for the guy, or he works for you, then that's considered Bailavimo, and there's based on the pasuk that Bailavimo makes it that he's potter from any punishment. So how are you saying that they're chayiv? Meaning these guys as if they're working for each other. Their partners are working for each other. So it's as if they're getting paid, but they're working for each other. So therefore they should be potter. Amar Papa, so Papa said, the Amar Le, Shmarli Hayyim, Vani Yashma L'chol Machar. He says to him, watch it for me today, and I'll watch for you tomorrow. So they're not having a partnership at the same time. Similar to what we said yesterday, that there's two different ways of making partnerships. You can have a partnership where they split the land down the middle at the same time, or they can have one guy has for a few years and the other guy has for the next few years. So similarly, the Gemara is saying here, he's telling him, I'm gonna watch your property today, and the next day you're gonna watch mine. So there's no mixing of it. So therefore it's not considered Bailav Imoy.
Can you explain to me? So we're partners, and now you, in addition to me being a partner, you're offering me to be a Shomer Sachar, so I watch it extra careful. Meaning you're paying me more money to go watch it, even though I'm a shutef already.
No, there's nobody's paying anybody any money. It's just
so what the Shomer Sachar?
You scratch my back, I scratch yours.
So isn't a Shomer Sachar usually you're not paying someone?
Shomer Sachar is paying. Shomer Chinam is not paying.
So we're saying a Shomer Sachar. So who's paying who now? Yeah,
no one's actually physically paying anyone. We're saying that the fact that this arrangement, I'll watch for you if you watch for me, each one's paying the other with the shmira.
So this is the type of shutuf that we are. We're Shomer Sachar.
No, it's nothing to do with the shutufs. The guy has a cat. He's going on vacation. The cat's nothing to do with the shutufs. So he asks his shutuf, yeah, watch my cat for me. Is he a Shomer Chinam or a Shomer Sachar on that? So I would have thought a Shomer Chinam. Shmuel's saying he's a Shomer Sachar because the other guy's going to ask him to do the same favor when he goes on vacation.
But it's still by Lavima, though. Yeah.
Well, how does this get out of Balavimai?
We're saying Shmarli Hayyim, Vani Yashma L'chol Machar. They're not helping each other out right at the same time. Today I'm doing today you watch for me, tomorrow I watch for you. We're not combined. So Mamela is not by Lavima.
Right.
Yeah.
We had two Mandamrim in the Gemara in the Sugi of Balavimai. According to the Mandamar who learns it back to Shomer Chinam, even if there is Balavimai, there'll be a difference.
I'll come in by Shmanes.
The Shomer Sachar is going to be Chai for Pshiyah. Shomer Chinam is going to be Potter.
I could be off in 2 minutes, but yeah. I hear. But yeah, so man, you're getting at Taisus because I totally forgot this Gemara, whatever. Taisus, but it's late because they're waiting for me for Meir. So I gotta. If Peretz was on, he would be very happy. But yeah, but let's see the Gemara. But Taisus says that Bailav Imoy is even Amira is enough. Even just making a contract is considered a Bailav Imoy, right? So here it sounds like making a contract with each other is not Bailav Imoy. Shine. Okay, I didn't remember that Gemara for anything. Okay, Tanarabah, third line down. Marchalei Bayis, Marchalei Sada. If he sold him a house, I mean, if somebody sold somebody a house or he sold him a field, Ain Mayed Loyalov, he's not allowed to say Edus, meaning he sold somebody a field, and now somebody's coming and complaining that he wants that field, that he says that field belongs to him. So the seller can't combine with another aid. Why? Because he has a achrayus on it. Of course, I mean, it's pashut, right? If I sell somebody a field and then somebody starts complaining that the field belongs to him, I can't be an aid with somebody else. Of course, I'm partial, right? Fine, but machalei para, machalei talis. But if he sells him a paro, he sells a talis, and then somebody comes and complains that the par and the talis is me'ed lo yaleh. He says the aid of son. I'll hear Baruch and then I'll stop Hishman. Me'ed lo yaleh. He says aid of son of Ibnei she'enach yusa Allah because he doesn't have achrayis.
I don't understand. If I buy a field from you, and then someone claims that they bought the field from you, you can't testify that you sold it to me?
No, you. What do you mean? How can I testify? I have negias.
I don't know. What negias?
No, in that case, you might be allowed to. That is no negias.
Yeah.
It's when your Baal Chayv comes and says, you owe me money. You sold that field after I borrowed the money. After you borrowed the money, that field is now mine. You can't sell it. And he's going to be made. No, I sold it before.
Yep.
That kind of edus you can't do. Because that directly is negate. It's negate it. Yeah.
Whatever it is, the Gemara is saying in the Reisha, when it's a field and a house, he has negias and he can't be edus. But when he sells a para and a talis, then he can. So the Gemara says, what's the difference? Mashna Reisha, Mashna Sefer. Why in the Reisha does he have negias? In the Sefer doesn't have negias. Some of Sheish, Reisha. Now here you go. Here goes the Yavamas. Okay. Reisha, like we said, the rule. Anytime the Gemara feels they have to start using Ruvain Shimon, just whatever, especially if it's the end of the daf. All right, so I'm going to say this. Reisha, but Ruvain shagazel sadam Shimon. Ruvain stole a sadam from Shimon. The Rashbam says, how do we know he stole it? Meaning, there's rumors that he stole it. Right? Ruvain stole a field from Shimon, umachral Levi, and he sold it to Levi. V'asa Yehuda, then came Yehuda, the Kama'arer, and he said a ha'ara, and he said, it's not Levi's. He said it's his. So you got Shimon and Yehuda saying that they own the karka, and Ruvain is a crook, and he sold it to Levi. Right? So that's basically what they do. The loy lezel Shimon lahasid Levi. Shimon cannot go say edus for Levi. The nichalei the hadra, because Shimon is very happy. Would be happy that it should stay in Levi's hands because then he's going to go after Levi. He doesn't want Yehuda, right? Because again, you have Levi and Yehuda competing over here. If the field can go to them, yeah, nuts.
You have Shimon and Levi
Shimon
and Yehuda competing. Shimon's in the game
right.
too.
Right, Shimon also, right? So,
but if it goes to Yehuda, Shimon will never get it.
If it goes to Yehuda, Shimon will never get it. Correct. So so Shimon
he wants it to stay by Levi because if he can prove that Reuben stole it, then it'll go back to him.
Then Shimon is in the game, right? So that's why he has Negias. So Gemara asks, "Given the Asid the Levi who?" And let's say Shimon does say Edus that it belongs to Levi. How can he take it from Levi? Meaning, how can Shimon think? We're saying Shimon eventually says he'll get it back from Levi. How could he? He just said Edus that it belongs to Levi, right? So when it says he didn't say that I know it's Levi's. He says I know it's not Yehuda's. I don't know how he knows that. What is he saying? I followed Yehuda around for the last 10 years, and I know that he didn't buy this land or something. I don't know exactly how he said, but he says I know it's not Yehuda's. But he didn't say that it's for sure Levi's.
Well, he could give Edus that he knows that Levi bought it from Reuven. That much is true. Reuven sold it to him.
No, but he wants it to say, yeah, but then how's Shimon getting it? He means Shimon could say he stole it from him.
Shimon says, right.
Yeah, say that's possible. Okay, so then I want to ask about who's supposed to come up Levi Lifkami Yehuda. Okay, so whatever schus he's gonna use to get it out of Levi's hands, he can get it out of Yehuda's hands. Right? So the Gemara answers the Amar Hasheni Noyachli. He's going to say, I would rather. The second one, meaning Levi, it's good for me to deal with Levi. Harish and Kashem Menu. But Yehuda is a difficult guy. So since he's a difficult guy to deal with, I'm not interested in dealing with him. So therefore, I'm not going to deal with him. So therefore, he has this whole negis. Okay, it's a little complicated, but I gotta stop. I hope it was semi-understandable, but okay. Fine. Okay, let's say a tillim.
Where the daf is supposed to be learned.